traditional leaders, our chiefs and queen mothers who have joined us here, beautifully dressed in their traditional attire. It's not everywhere we get that benefit, that chiefs and queen mothers come and join us. I want to thank you for spending your time with us this morning, because as you are aware, all of us are part of Ghana and we're all feeling the pinch. I'm sure that even you, the chiefs and queen mothers, you are feeling it more than us, because as life is hard for your people, when they can't pay their school fees, when there's no food in the house, it's to your palaces that they come and beg for food and come and ask for money. So you are very welcome to join us to seek the solution to the challenges and the problems that the MPP has sunk our dear nation Ghana into. So let me warmly welcome you and warmly welcome all my comrades and friends. This is the start of the Building Ghana tour in the Volta region. It has taken us already to the former Brong Ahafo region, that's Bono East, Bono and Ahafo. We've been to Western North, to Western and to Central regions, and we're currently starting the Volta region, and after that we're going to the Ashanti region. And so let me thank you. We are beginning this with a stakeholders meeting, and I'm very happy to see so many of my colleagues that I haven't seen in many years here. It gives me a certain sense that we are coming together to fight the battle that is ahead of us. And I'm sure that with the unity that I'm seeing in this hall, victory is going to be certain. But first, let me thank you for the overwhelming endorsement you gave me last year in the presidential primary. When I came around your constituencies, everybody assured that I'll get 100%. But 98 points is as good as 100%. A lot of the points that did not add up were many of them due to rejected ballots, and then others due to some other reasons. But I want to thank you for the overwhelming endorsement that the Volta region gave me. Let me also congratulate you on the successful parliamentary primaries that you held and the election of your parliamentary candidates. I want to commend my comrades and colleagues who voluntarily stepped aside and said they were not going to run again. People like the Honorable Aveji, who has been in leadership of Parliament for a long time, said that the time has come to hand it over to a new generation. And I hope that in politics, all of us will recognize that time when we have to move aside and let the new generation take it over. I also want to commend all the parliamentary aspirants who stood but did not make it. They say God's time is the best. Today might not be your time, but inshallah, your time will come. And the same support that you show to your brother or sister who is the candidate is the same support you will also receive when you become the candidate in future. And so let me commend you, those of you who are working together with the candidates in order that victory is ours. Currently, reconciliation is going on, and I want to commend our former Right Honorable Speaker Dua Jaho for leading the reconciliation effort. It is my hope that all the persons that are being engaged in this effort will wave the olive branch and put all wrongs aside, all hurts aside, whatever feelings you have, we'll put them aside. Because the objective that we have in front of us is bigger than any wrong feelings that we might have. As the Honorable said, he said, put the fight aside. Let us come together and fight for victory. Then after we come, you can continue the fight when we have come into power. He said, it's better to fight in power than to fight in opposition. I remember when we were little children, when we go out and one of us, gets involved in a fight, we all go and join and fight. And then it's only when we come home we ask, but what happened? Why were you fighting? So let's put it aside like brothers do and fight the battle ahead. When we finish, we'll ask why we are fighting, and then we'll resolve the issue. But in any case, time is not on our side. So let us not drag this reconciliation process. We need to focus on the campaign. And we can't spend all the time reconciling ourselves until the election is upon us. The train is moving. The train is moving. And everybody should get on board. Don't sit and say, oh, this happened, so I won't go on the train unless they come and beg me and all that. The train is moving. If you don't jump on board, it will go and leave you. And once it starts going and you don't board, then when it reaches the destination, you will not be on board. And so please, let's accept whatever has happened and let us move together in unity. We must work together for victory, because that's the only way victory can be assured. And it is even more critical now, because I've never seen a period in history, as Uncle Dan said about that the hopes of Ghanaians are so banked on the success of one political party. Anywhere I go, Ghanaians tell me that, look, we're waiting for you to come and rescue us from what has been happening. And it's not only NDC people. It's people who even come to me and say, look, I'm an MPP person, I voted for Nana Addo Dankwa, but we're suffering. Please come and rescue us. And so even their own people are in need of rescue, because this is not the MPP we know. This is not the MPP of President Kufuor. This is the MPP of a small cabal of family and friends who have expropriated everything to themselves and even neglected their own party members. We have been in competition with them since 1992. I have been in electoral battles with them since 96. And I know that this is not that MPP. This is a different MPP that has expropriated, as I said, not only the resources of the nation, but has also expropriated all the power and authority of a normal political party onto themselves. Even within their party, they are unable to speak out. They talk about themselves as Democrats, but MPP people themselves are afraid to speak about what is happening in their own party. And so it is time for that cabal to leave office so that Ghanaians can have a second Independence Day on 7th January 2025. Our country, Ghana, has been plunged into a mess. If what they did affected only the MPP party, it will be something different. But their non-performance and their deliberate acts of omission and commission have plunged our whole nation into a big mess. We all know what is happening today. Ghana has become not the shining black star of Africa, but the falling black star of Africa. The black star has fallen off the arc of independence and is lying in the mud. It is looking forward to the NDC and other patriotic Ghanaians to come and lift that black star and put it back on the pedestal that it deserves. I travel around the continent and around the world, and wherever I go, people ask me, what happened to you, Ghanaians? What happened? Because Ghana has always been the model. Today we are the model of shame. We are the model of economic mismanagement. We are the model of indebtedness. We are the model of corruption. We are the model of a country that is broke and bankrupt. That is what we are today. And people who respected us before, I had the privilege of serving as president, and I went into the Committee of Nations. We attended gatherings. And the respect that the president of Ghana was giving in these meetings and in these gatherings of the international community has always been very high. Today, everybody asks me, what happened? What happened to you, Ghana? And I can only say that a group of people who we shouldn't have given power managed to package themselves with roses and put perfume on themselves, like they were going to turn Ghana into a paradise, and not knowing that it was just for self-aggrandizement and to satisfy their selfish greed. And so Ghana has been plunged into a deep mess, and it means that on 25th January, I'm thinking of the campaign, I'm thinking of the elections, but more than the campaign and the elections, I'm thinking of 8th January 2025. the day after we have sworn in and left Independence Square, I'm thinking about the mess we're going to inherit. We're going to inherit a very difficult situation. And it will take all of us to stand together and let our Ghanaians understand the mess. I'm telling you, what you have seen today is not what it is. The day after they leave this office, you will see the real mess in which this country is. Today, Dumso, they are kicking it like a football. Why? Because he wants to kick it over the 7th January 2025 line and hand the trouble over to somebody else. And yet we resolved it before they came into office. Today they put value-added tax on electricity bills. And COVID levy, NHIL levy, Get Fund levy, all on electricity bills. And so that is going to send the cost of your electricity bills up. Already there was a 29% increase, there was a 19% increase. Then they tried to fool us with a 4% decrease, and now it's going up again astronomically. And it's making Ghana a very difficult place to do business. All business people are complaining. I mean, the owner of this hotel who has given us this resort to do this meeting, you should ask him how much he's paying in electricity bill. And yet, because of the mismanagement of the president and his cousin and his vice president, it has plunged all of us into a difficult situation where they have pledged to the IMF to raise as much revenue as they can. And the point is, while you are raising revenue, reduce your expenditure. What any sane, reasonable person does. Because if you reduce your expenditure, you can ease the burden that you're putting on the taxpayer. If they cut down the expenditure of the office of the president, they've doubled it. Year on year, budget went up by 82 billion cedis. And so, if you reduce the rise of the budget in terms of expenditure, then you could reduce the incidence of tax. You might not need to place a value-added tax on electricity, so that you pass the relief on to the people of Ghana. But this is not the kind of people we're dealing with. And so I'm thinking about 8th January and the mess we're coming to meet. It's going to make things difficult. We'll have to let Ghanaians understand what situation these guys have left us with. And when Ghanaians understand, they'll be willing to cooperate with us to lift the country and put it back on its feet. In the speeches that were made, it's not only in the Volta region, it's all over the country. All the projects that they inherited, they have abandoned. And they themselves have started projects that they know they cannot complete. And yet, instead of finishing the abandoned projects and ongoing projects, they've started new projects, Agenda 111. Some of them are at foundation level, some they've raised the block work, but they know that they cannot finish it before they leave. So what they'll do is they'll just push it on to somebody else and say, oh, we started this, and you came and you've abandoned it. But look at the mess you've created. Where are we going to get money to finish all those projects? But I have pledged that we would restrain ourselves from starting new projects. Whatever little resources that we come and meet, we will send it into completing the ongoing and abandoned projects. And so, I was talking to our General Secretary, and I said we wanted our party executives and our organizers to start constituency by constituency identifying abandoned projects in your constituencies. Some of them are in the secondary schools, abandoned dining hall blocks, abandoned dormitory blocks. Let's take an inventory of them so that when we come into office, we know the projects that we're dealing with. And as we free up fiscal space, we will apply those monies to continue with those projects. Volta Region is a very important region, not only to the NDC, but to the country, because of the potential that this region has in terms of contributing to the GDP of the country. And so we're not going to only look at issues of infrastructure. Yes, infrastructure is important, but I think that in the second coming of the NDC, more importantly, we must trigger the economic potential of the Volta region so that the people of the region so that the people of the region engaged in tourism can earn more money. The people of the region engaged in agriculture and agribusiness can earn more money. The people of the region engaged in industry can earn more money. The people of the region engaged in trade and commerce can earn more money. That for us is the strategic plan we should have for Volta Region. Yes, we'll do infrastructure, but let's invest in raising the economic and business potential of the region so that our people can, in dignity, earn money and resources for themselves to be able to look after themselves. And so that's, I challenge you, all my comrades, that we must look at every constituency. What is the constituency's comparative advantage? Is it in mining or extractive industry? There are places where we have limestone, we have clay deposits, we have all kinds of things. There are places where we can do palm oil. This land is perfect for palm oil. Industries in Tema, Wilma and Olam and things have oil mills there. They're ready to buy any palm that they can get because they're importing almost 400,000 tons of palm from Malaysia and Indonesia. We can change the face of things in our region, and let's start thinking strategically so that when the government comes into power, it's not only just about infrastructure, it is about what investment we can make in our people to make our region even more economically viable than it has been in the past. My brothers and sisters, Ghanaians are looking up to us, and we must use the 4-year term that they are going to grant us in 2025 to consolidate our democracy. We must not win the trust and the mandate of Ghanaians only to come and commit the same mistakes that MPP has committed. The 4-year term should be to build a foundation and a platform so that whoever we put there to take over from us who are leaving off would be able to continue and continue and continue. Ghanaians should see that NDC is always the better option. I know these are guys. If they go out of power for one term, they will go and metamorphose and, sprinkle themselves with perfume and tie new ribbons and come back, with their deceptive smiles and try to fool Ghanaians once again. And so our continuation in power would be dependent on this 4-year term. Ghanaians are calm today because they know there's an election coming up. Times are hard, things are difficult, and if it was just left to the natural scheme of things, we probably would not be sitting as peacefully as we're sitting here. But Ghanaians know that in a few months, they have the opportunity to make a change. But they are not going to countenance anybody coming and doing the same thing that the MPP have been doing. And so we must look up. We must govern better when we come into office. We must fight corruption harder. We must be more transparent and accountable. We must, most of all, ease the economic burden on our people as quickly as possible. It will take some time, but we must work at it. We must be modest. We must be humble. We must not be arrogant. Some people, as soon as you appoint them into office, the arrogance of power begins to show. They say if you want to know the true character of a person, give him money or give him power. We must be humble. The humility with which we are going to the people and asking for their votes is the same humility that we must come back with as ministers and persons in authority. We must be modest. We shouldn't be driving a pickup, then tomorrow, as soon as you come, you want to buy a Bentley or a Mercedes-Benz. Let's be modest in office. We're not going to buy cars and give everybody cars all over the place. I mean, we must show that we feel the plight of Ghanaians in the economic hardship that we are going through. But before that happens, we have an election to win. And we can only win that election if we're, one, I talked about it already, united, but two, most of all, if we are vigilant. Because the only way, and the MPP know it, the only way they have out of this election defeat that they are about to face, if they are able to rig the election. And for them, the least opportunity they get, they take advantage of it. And so please, vigilance is going to be very important. There's a video going around, where some electoral officer had managed to stuff the ballots. And we must know that there are some electoral officers, I don't say all of them, they are very good electoral officers. I have been in elections, I've been an MP. We had my district electoral officer, was a very good person. He wouldn't cheat for anybody. He made sure the election was free and fair. But unfortunately, there are a lot of the electoral officers who will take money and try to skew the election for one candidate or the other. And the only way we can deal with this is to be vigilant. This was just an election to break the tie between two candidates, and yet this officer was trying to cheat for one of them. Even in the main election, there was another female electoral officer who was being hooted at and all that because she had tried to manipulate the election for somebody. And so we need to be vigilant and make sure that the election is free and fair, because I'm confident that if we have a free, fair, and transparent election, there's no doubt in my mind that NDC would win the election. And I really like the suggestion that was given that maybe we should even count the presidential ballots before the parliamentary. Because in the past, what has happened is, as soon as we finish counting the parliamentary and one person has won, then they pour powder on him, they go jubilating, go Akule Fetridechi, and some cold Guinness, and then before you see, they have gone to bed, and forget that the presidential one is being counted. In some of the places, we go and eat Akule and come back, we doze off. By the time we come back to the collation center, they finish counting and they've signed off. And so, please, we must be vigilant. Whether they count the parliamentary or the presidential first, we must be vigilant until every single vote is counted and tallied. But it will help if they do the presidential, because then there's interest in the parliamentary. We'll finish the presidential, we'll tally, and then they'll count the parliamentary. I know that everybody will stay because the candidates are anxious to know what their fate is. Aside from that, one of the disadvantages of this region is that once a person wins the primaries, they know they have 1.5 feet in parliament. And so they don't put as much effort in the campaign as they should. Please campaign as if it is life or death. Don't just be comfortable knowing that you are going to win. You must be comfortable in knowing that you're going to jack up the party's votes by a certain percentage. That is what you should be looking at, not your victory. Your victory is assured in most constituencies. Our people will vote for the NDC candidate. But it is not about your victory and your winning. It is about how you raise the votes in this region so that we can counter the votes coming from other places that are not our strongholds. And so please pay attention to that. All of us must offer ourselves as party agents on the day. We cannot sit and just leave it to the constituency executives to pick any party agents. And the MPs must be involved in the selection of party agents. I know that in several cases, the parliamentary candidates just leave it to the party chairman and secretary and organizer. And they just pick people, and some of them are not worthy to be our party agents. Excuse me. Because there are some of them who do not understand the electoral process. We are going to fund the training, and so the trainers are going to come. But in a lot of cases, when the trainers come, the quality of people that they give them is nothing to write home about. There are several cases in which they've had to send several of the selected party agents home because they just don't fit the bill. Some of them are barely literate. And with the kind of electoral process we have today, I'm sorry to say, if you're not literate, you'll find it difficult to be able to monitor that election. And so we need the right party agents. But it's not just being the right party agent by being literate. You can be whoever you are. If you don't go through the training, they will still cheat you because you don't understand the electoral process. It has changed. It is not what it was when we came, when we stood elections in '96 with the iron ballot boxes and all that kind of thing and manual counting and all that. It's more sophisticated now. For instance, in the last election, 2020, many of our party agents didn't know that at the end of the election, they must go to the biometric verification machine and check how many people presented themselves. Of course, our party agents also have a ticking thing which they take for everybody who comes to vote. And at the end of the election, we would have ticked everybody who presented themselves, and we can compare it to what is in the ballot box. But even easier is that now everybody is required to put his finger on the biometric machine. And so the number on the biometric machine must tally with the ballots in the box. If there are more papers in that box than the BBR shows, then it means that somebody has put foreign ballot papers into the box. And then you must also understand that if there are foreign ballot papers in the box, then you must take all of them and check the serial number against the booklet to see whether they came from that booklet. And if all of them came from that booklet, then there's only one thing that could have happened. The person who was staring probably was staring 2222 for some people. If the serial numbers don't tally, then it means they brought the ballot paper from somewhere and came and put it in. So it's a very sophisticated business, and that's why we need the right people at the polling stations. And so please, this is going to be a rigorous exercise. Recently, I'm happy with the work the Elections Directorate is doing. They are testing election directors in the constituencies. And I'm sorry to say, somebody got 12.5% over 100. I mean, if you are the elections director, you're supposed to supervise the elections in a constituency, and you yourself don't understand the process. How are you going to be able to supervise it? 12.5% over 100. And so they said, look, find another position for the person, and let's get somebody else. And they say, oh, no, he's influential. Let's leave him. The influential one. When we come into government, we can find somewhere for him to exert his influence. But for winning the election, we need the right people in the right place. So please, executives, cooperate with the Elections Directorate when they come around doing their work, because we want to put the right people in the right place so that they are vigilant on the day of elections. Collation centers are important. Don't start jubilating from the polling station. I've said we won't go to the Supreme Court. We're going to win the elections on the ground at the polling station. And so we must not forget to take the collation center serious. One of the reasons why we lost the constituency was that at the end of the poll, when they had gotten their pink sheets, they went to the collation center, and the presiding officer said, oh, the electoral officers have not arrived yet. They'll come about dawn. So you go home and rest and come in the morning, and we'll do the collation. They came back in the morning. The man had signed all the tally sheets and everything, and was declaring the results. If you finish and you have your pink sheets and you go to the collation center, whether the election officers have come, they haven't come, you sit there. If your clay is getting cold, let them bring it to the collation center and eat it there. And so please, let's take this very seriously. I want to thank all of you very much. I want to thank our General Secretary, our Chairman, the current crop of executive. I must say that we have a very good working relationship. We consult ourselves regularly. There is no disunity between us, my office and the executive, functional executive committee are working hand in hand in close harmony and close cooperation. I want to thank the regional chairman too, who are in consultation with them all the time. And I think the constituency executives too are doing a good job. Our parliamentary candidates are doing well. We will mobilize the logistics and resources necessary to support you, but I would urge you to use your fundraising activities to be able to raise some resources for the day-to-day campaign. The parliamentary candidates and the constituency executives, you are our campaign team on the ground. People tell me, oh, I want to be part of the campaign team. The campaign team is there in the constituencies. The executives and the peacekeepers are the campaign. For the presidential candidate, I can be in one constituency at a time, but for the parliamentary candidate and the executives, you live in the constituency. So the campaign must continue even after I've come and gone. Because how many times can I come to your constituency? Between now and December, maybe 3 times. But that's all. You will be there on the ground. And so anybody who wants to join my campaign team, join your constituency campaign team and campaign for me so that I win your constituency. I thank you very much. Mauna Ira Mikata.